The email arrived on a Tuesday morning. $2 million, not over his entire career. Not a lottery ticket. A job offer worth roughly $2 million in total compensation. For a man in his mid-30s, earning a modest salary and raising young kids, it was the kind of number that could completely change a family's financial future. There was just one problem. He would have to move across the country. The job would demand roughly 80 hours a week, and his kids were still young enough to run to the door when he came home. Let's call him Daniel. Daniel wasn't wealthy. He drove an ordinary car. His family lived in a comfortable but modest house. They took normal vacations. There wasn't a huge investment portfolio waiting for him. So when the offer arrived, his first reaction wasn't complicated. Take it. $2 million could pay off a mortgage, fund retirement, build an investment portfolio, pay for college, create a level of financial security his family had never experienced. He opened the spreadsheet. Even after taxes and expenses, the number looked enormous. He started imagining what that money could buy. A bigger house, better schools, more travel, early retirement, maybe, eventually. He could stop working altogether. Then he remembered someone else. A colleague at his current company had taken a similar opportunity. A few years earlier, the salary was incredible. So was the workload. At first, everyone congratulated him. Then the messages started changing. I haven't slept. I missed another birthday. I'll make it up to them next weekend. But there was always another deadline, another flight, another meeting, another reason to stay late. Daniel had watched the transformation from close enough to understand it. The colleague wasn't a bad father. He wasn't careless. He was doing what a lot of people would call the responsible thing. He was sacrificing today for a better tomorrow. Except tomorrow kept moving. And now, Daniel had the same choice sitting in his inbox. That night, he talked about it with his wife. They didn't immediately say yes. They didn't immediately say no. They talked about the money. Then the house they'd have to leave. The schools. The grandparents. The long flights. The weekends he'd probably miss. And eventually, one of his kids walked into the room. Are you going to move? Daniel didn't have an answer. Then came the question that changed the conversation. Will you still be home for bedtime? It wasn't a financial question, but suddenly, the spreadsheet felt incomplete. Because Daniel had been calculating the value of the job in dollars, he hadn't calculated what those dollars were asking him to give up. And that's where this story becomes uncomfortable, because $2 million is a lot of money. For some families, taking that offer could be an incredible opportunity. It could change generations. It could create financial security that would otherwise take decades. There is no universal answer. But Daniel decided that the price was too high for his particular life. He declined. His friends thought he was crazy. One said, "You just turned down $2 million." Daniel knew exactly what he had turned down. That's what made the decision difficult. He wasn't pretending the money didn't matter. It mattered enormously. He simply decided something else mattered more. A few years passed. Daniel was still driving the same kind of car. He hadn't become a millionaire. He was still working, still saving, still investing what he could. His financial progress was slower, but his kids were older, and he had been there. School events, weekend breakfasts, bedtime conversations, ordinary Tuesday nights, the moments that never appear on a resume. Meanwhile, his former colleague had earned a fortune. The house was bigger. The cars were nicer. The investment accounts were much larger. But the cost had been real too. He had missed years he couldn't buy back. Eventually, he left the company. Not because the money wasn't enough. Because he finally decided the money wasn't worth the life attached to it. And here's the part where you're supposed to choose who was right. Was Daniel foolish? Maybe. If your priority is maximizing wealth, turning down $2 million looks almost impossible to defend. But was he smart? Maybe. If your priority is maximizing time with the people you love, the decision looks completely different. That's the strange thing about money. We often talk about it as if there is one scoreboard. More money means you're winning. Less money means you're losing. But money is really a tool for buying choices. And sometimes the most valuable choice is the ability to decide what your time is worth. Daniel didn't prove that everyone should turn down a huge salary. He proved something much harder to measure. There is a price for every opportunity. Sometimes that price is money. Sometimes it's stress. Sometimes it's sleep. Sometimes it's time with people you'll never get these years back with. And sometimes the most important question isn't, how much does this job pay? It's, what will this money cost me? Because a paycheck can replace almost anything you buy with it. But it can't replace a Tuesday night you weren't there for.